Jonathan Arnott has today announced UKIP's vision for the North East, encouraging focus on manufacturing, defending our steel industry and giving us the transport links we deserve in the North East. But this announcement comes weeks after Mr Arnott stood down from his bid to become the next leader of UKIP. I caught up with him earlier today. So Jonathan, kind of in a nutshell, tell me UKIP's vision for the North East that was announced today.
Well, our vision, of course, is just to provide a positive future for what we want for the North East after Brexit. So we're going to be talking about things like transport, how we develop transport infrastructure across the region. We want to talk about manufacturing. We want to talk about jobs, about creating jobs, because when you look at the North East, traditionally, we have been the engine room of the country's economy, and yet sadly it seems that successive governments have neglected our manufacturing. It's time to make sure that we rebuild that. It's time that we start talking about a range of issues about the future of our region. When you set out a vision, you're not talking about what you're going to do over the next 6 months. You're talking about how we make the North East the kind of vibrant, positive economy that it really should be.
Is the North East not in a worse position out of Europe for you to deliver those promises?
No, far better position. I mean, what I've just said about manufacturing, about fisheries, for example, we can't do those things. There are various things that we can do as members of the European Union, there are various things that we can't do as members of the European Union, and to get our region right, we need to look at all of the different options.
Theresa May hasn't really mentioned the possibility of calling a general election. How can UKIP maybe impact on people's lives here in the North East without that general election, if that might not come for another couple of years?
Well, it probably won't come for another couple of years. And I suppose that's, but when you look at this document, there are a lot of things here that need to be done by central government. There are a lot of things here, though, that can be done by local councils. So actually what we're saying is this is a broad-based vision for what we can do across the North East.
You're of course a North East MEP, but it looks as though the next leader of UKIP, obviously that gets decided in a couple of weeks' time, might be a South East MEP. Is she going to be as passionate for the North East as you are? And, will this vision get delivered under her?
Well, you might well wonder why we're delivering this, why we're producing this vision for the North East now. And the reason that we're doing it now, of course, is because we're in the middle of a leadership election, and we want to make sure that the leadership candidates are perfectly well aware this is what the North East needs.
If you felt so passionate about delivering this North East vision, why didn't you try and implement it with you as leader of UKIP?
Look, there were many reasons that I stepped out of that contest, but ultimately the real reason was there's no prize for a silver medal in politics, and I could have done that, and I could probably have managed to finish in second place in that leadership election. But if you can't win it, then actually one of the important things in politics is to be honest.
But why couldn't you win it?
Well, I looked at the level of support that I had across the party, and I spoke to a number of very senior people, a number of people who've got their feet on the ground, and ultimately I came to the conclusion that I could get second.
Is it an easier way for you to kind of get your North East message across by taking a back seat and saying this is what I would have done if I was the leader, but I'm not going to be leader, but this is what I would have done anyway?
I'll say one thing, I've got a little bit more freedom now. It perhaps represents people in the North East in a different way to the way that I was doing that a couple of months ago. But either way I think is perfectly valid, and certainly that newfound freedom I can use for something like that.